everybody, what's up and welcome back to my channel. Today I have a Dazzled or Disappointed for you, and I had actually promised this to you guys last week, but given that I was sick last week I didn't get to film as much as I had wanted. So today's going to be a review on the Melt Impulsive eyeshadow palette, the pressed pigment palette that is exclusive to Sephora. I wasn't going to pick it up and then I decided I did want to pick it up, so I've been playing with it, I've been using it, and I've got plenty of thoughts for you. Of course, the swatches, a demo, so if you're interested in seeing if this palette is right for you, then just keep on watching. So first off, let's go ahead and go into the Sephora website so that I can, as usual, give you the details there. So for reference, first of all, price tag, it is $65, so it is a little bit higher up in the price range. For reference, it is in line price-wise with the Natasha Denona Sunrise palette, and that's luxury. So it is a little pricier, just for reference. It's an 18 shade palette of brilliant metallics and bold mattes that tell the story of Melt Cosmetics and the fans who made this dream a reality. It says one side of the palette is inspired by the early years of Melt and the friendship between co-founders Laura and Dana that started it all. It showcases cool tone shimmers and holographic foils. The other side features dangerously bold mattes and vivid shimmers inspired by the brand's fun and fearless Melt fam. So for reference, as I had mentioned, you do get 18 pans of product. You get 20.240 grams or 0.714 ounces, and it is made in the USA. So let's go ahead and go into the box. So the box is just a collage of pictures. I think it's really cool, like fans and the co-founders, and you've got a whole lot going on this box. I think it's creative. I think it's unique. So then let's go into the packaging. And so I think we'll go into this, but people have mixed reviews on the packaging. It's very, very weighty. It's very heavy, so I wouldn't consider it super ideal for travel. However, I love that it's weighty and heavy because it feels sturdy. It feels like really good packaging. And for a $65 price tag, you're looking to make sure that you know every part of the palette is good, and so packaging is really, really good, sturdy. It looks like this. It's the Impulsive palette, and again, like I mentioned, it is exclusive to Sephora. It looks like a book, so you could really just set it up like this, and it opens up like a book as well. So it looks like this, and then I have it upside down. So you open it up like this, and you do have, as it mentions, one side of a certain story and the other side of another story. So going back to the packaging, I think what the mixed feelings are is that there is no divider, so your powders can possibly mix in with each other when you close this. I don't find that to be a deal breaker for me, but there is no divider in here. In the middle, the binding has that same collage of pictures, which I think is a nice detail, and these are pressed pigments. And you know how pigments can be a lot more intense, but they can also be a little bit harder to blend, a little harder to pack on, that kind of thing. So first of all, I'm going to take you in through swatches. After that, we'll go into the demo, and then we'll go into my final thoughts from there. First for our 2012 Rule Breaker, Go Getter, and Dream Big. And I will tell you that Go Getter, which is this shade right here, is my favorite in this palette. Again, they are pressed pigments, so they are going to look a little bit more rich and opaque than your typical eyeshadows. Next four is CEO, Boss Lady, Game Changer, and Profesh. Now these mattes right here were a little drier to the touch, and they do look slightly patchy, a little bit thinner than the last set. Here we have Bold, Makeup Junkie, Warehouse Party, and Poppin' Bottles. Here we've got Shots, Tipsy, Crossfaded, and No Regrets. The last two are Morning After and Drunk Text. Okay, now that we've gone through all 18 swatches, it's time for the demo portion of this review. So if you are interested in seeing how I came up with this right here, then let's get into that right now. All right, let's start off with the shade Game Changer. I am going to use this on a blending brush, and this is actually going to be my crease color. I do end up having to go in with about 3 layers of this just because of the intensity that I was wanting. Next, I'm going to go in with the shade Boss Lady, and I'm going to go in with a pencil brush. I'm just going to kind of draw this into my crease so that I have a little bit of a area to then go in with a angled brush, just so that it doesn't get really messy. So I'm going to take a little more of that Boss Lady shade, and now that I have kind of like my little area mapped out, I'm just going to kind of start blending this into the crease. Just going to go in with a little bit of tart Shape Tape. I am going to, yes, I guess it's carving out my crease, but more than anything, it's just cleaning it up so that I don't have really any of that Boss Lady shade on the upper portion of my lid, just because I want that whole area to be clean. I'm not going all the way up to my crease because I want a little bit of that shade to still show through. Now I'm going to go in with my favorite shade of the palette. It is called Go Getter, and I am going in with a brush on this one, primarily because I'm placing this on the outer and inner portion of my lid. Next, I'm going to go in with the shade Warehouse Party. This is what's going to go on the middle portion of my lid. I'm laying it down with my finger for intensity, and then going in with a second layer with a brush. Go in with my Fenty Pro Filter eye primer, and just laying this down just a little bit in the inner corner, taking a pencil brush and going in with the shade Poppin' Bottles. This primer is what I have found to really help shades just kind of pop and stand out. Alright, now it's time to go back in with the shade Boss Lady, and I'm just taking a small blending brush and just kind of stamping this on the outer portion of the lid to smoke it out. Alright, I'm back with liner, mascara, lashes, all the good stuff. I'm going to go in with a pencil brush and just lay a little bit of that green shade, the Game Changer shade, on my lower lash line. And now I'm going to go in with Boss Lady. I'm really just kind of replicating what I did on the lid as far as shades, but just deepening up that lower lash line. Going in with some brown liner. Brown seemed like the most appropriate color for this look. And that's really going to complete it out. Here we go with the final product. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that and found it easy to follow and kind of maybe inspired some creativity if you do own this palette. But now let me go ahead and take you into my final thoughts so that you know that if I was dazzled or disappointed by this, and so that you also know if it's going to be right for you, if you should go spend your $65 on this bad boy. So first off, packaging. I've already taken you through that. I love the packaging. I think it feels sturdy. It feels what I would expect from a $65 palette. I actually very much like the book design. I think it's unique. I like how it's stacked in kind of like step. I don't know how else to describe it except that it's steps, because it's kind of flat in the middle and then this is the highest one, and I like that. I'm not opposed to there not being any divider in the middle. I haven't really had a whole lot of issue of powder mixing, and the times that some has gotten into one of the other pans of product, I simply blow it off and it comes right off. I have not had an issue with that. So packaging is a win for me. I'm going to take you into the mattes. So most of the mattes in this palette, to the touch, are pretty dry. There are some that are very creamy and buttery, but I find for the most part that they're dry. That's really not an indicator of how it's going to perform, because some dry formulas really are rich, and these are pressed pigments. So I kind of already anticipate that. I know that from the Subculture palette by Anastasia that pressed pigments are worked a little bit differently, and I quite frankly love that palette. And so the mattes in this palette I find build very easily, very well, and they stay all day long. I have not had any fading to the mattes in this palette, and you know mattes are typically my less favorite. Like, I could do more shimmers and metallics, more of the standout shades, than the mattes. I can give or take mattes, and actually, this is probably going to come as a surprise to you, the mattes are what I like the most out of this palette. They just work very well. Again, they stay all day. They blend very nicely. They fade as far as like I've got the green as the transition, and then that next shade, this Boss Lady shade, I just like how those fade into each other. I think they just go well. As far as the color story, I'm not as drawn to the color story of these mattes or just in general. But as far as what is in here for mattes, I do like the performance very much. Now let's go into what my favorite type of shade is, and that's the like metallic standout shades. So I told you that Go Getter is my favorite shade out of the bunch, and actually that's one of the main reasons I wanted this palette, was because that looked in the promo pictures like such a bright metallic corally pink shade, and I am all about the brights, the neons, so I pretty much figured that was going to be my favorite, and that shade lived up to my expectation. It's very rich, it builds very nicely, it's very metallic, and it's very bright. Another amazing standout shade is Tipsy, this blue one right here. It's again very rich, it's got some sparkle that just really stands out. It layers very well, it just applies nicely. Now, for the rest of them, there's something about this color scheme that I kind of already had this in my mind before I bought it, but then when I went and I swatched it in store, I was kind of overtaken with how much I liked it. The color scheme in a way reminds me of Kat Von D, and I never really was drawn to a lot of her palettes, even though I used to buy them, but I wasn't really reaching for them. And I feel like this color scheme is kind of along those same lines. I don't get as inspired when looking at this on different things that I want to do. But that's just me and my preference when it comes to color stories within a palette. But I also find that some of the standout shades, so for example, like No Regrets, Drunk Text, Warehouse Party is the one I used in the middle. That's one of the ones I like more, even though what I'm going to tell you is going to be, I mean, pretty much my feeling on a lot of these standout shades. I feel like they're kind of blah. They're not anything super exciting, and honestly, I feel like they swatch better than they go on my eye. I don't know if that's just me, or maybe it's, again, just the way I feel about this color story, because this palette has been getting 5-star reviews on Sephora's website. I can't remember how many there were on there, 63 or so maybe, and it literally has 5 stars. So people are really liking this palette. Apparently, I'm going to tell you, I like it. I'm not dazzled by it. So I don't think that I would repay $65 for it. I think there are certain things that I really like about it. And overall, I like it. I just don't love it. I think right now I'm at a point where I've used it enough times to where if I really loved it, I would have felt that by now. But again, a lot of it is the color story. A lot of it is the shades that I feel maybe kind of bland and just don't stand out on my eye as much as one in the swatch, or two what I would gravitate towards as far as a color. So the mattes I love. I think these are incredible mattes, and it's rare that I prefer the mattes in a palette over the standout shades. The Go Getter shade I love. I'm so glad it lived up to the expectation. The rest of them, I will put them to use. I think you can make really pretty things happen from this palette. It's just not one that I see myself reaching for on a daily basis. So I like it. I am just not overwhelmed or dazzled by it. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope that you found it helpful, entertaining. I hope that it kind of guided you in a good direction one way or the other. Always keep in mind that just because I didn't love something doesn't mean that you wouldn't. We're all different. We've got different skin types, different skin tones, different preferences, different likes, and that's the awesome thing about makeup, is that there's so much out there that there is something for everybody. So just because I wasn't super crazy about it doesn't mean you won't be, and I always suggest you going into the store, swatching it, playing around with it for yourself, and then making your final decision. But that's just me. So I hope, again, that you enjoyed. I hope you'll consider subscribing if you are new to my channel. I hope this isn't the first and last time that you visit. Please give this video a thumbs up if you found it helpful. And before I let you go, you know I want to give you the verse of the day, just in an effort to let you know that Jesus loves you so very much. And I don't know what point in life that you are right now. I don't know if you're going through good times or bad times, but I just want you to know there is somebody out there praying for you, because I pray for my YouTube family every single day. And so today's comes from Micah 7:8, and it says, "Though I sit in darkness, the Lord will be my light." Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Bye.